crashes, sprints, descents, corners, road furniture, GC contenders trying to get in the mix. This was the first road stage of La Vuelta, the second stage from Molins de Rey to Sant Boi de Llobregat, I think near the Ville de Cans area. My wife, there's actually an outlet store near there that she frequents. I'm pretty sure that's where this finish is. There's a slight uphill kicker at the line, but an 8k 4% climb at the start, which is why we saw all the riders warming up very, very earnestly. Movistar, Jaco Alula, Vos for Visma Lease Bike, they all have contenders for this stage. And Trek with Ellen van Dijk will want to be keeping that jersey. Good weather at the start for that 8k 4% climb. When TV coverage started, they'd already completed it, but apparently there'd been attacks. No breakaway formed. Cecchini had been up front, and then it was actually only one further attack after this, because the bad weather begins to come, which makes the GC teams nervous. This race actually reminds me a lot of Paris-Nice every year, La Vuelta Femenina, particularly, like last year. You can lose this Vuelta on GC in the opening days. There's often rain on slippery roads or crosswinds like there was last year in the early stages, and you can lose time before you even get to the big mountain stages, which we have coming up shortly. And all the GC teams, EF with Faulkner, Little Trek for Fisher Black, Bradbury and Nivea Doma for Canyon SRAM, they're all aware and concerned of that. And actually here, what you see in all these roundabouts, you're just waiting for someone to cross wheels. And like Vos says, after this race, it's better to be in front to actually guide your or choose your own line. But we're coming into the intermediate sprint, bonus seconds in play, small gaps yesterday after the TTT, but there were big gaps for Visma because of the drama yesterday. Vos takes the seconds anyway, takes them away from Henderson, and Kerbol Hertz sprinted in lieu of Van der Breggen to take seconds away from the other GC contenders. Teudenberg tries to use that moment, can be a good moment to jump, but the GC teams were too worried, and they were pacing hard on that false light uphill into this descent. Lizzie Deignan keeping Fisher Black, who's on her wheel, safe onto this descent. And just very nervous times for Mavi Garcia, for Kerbol, for Vollering, for Reusser, all these riders. And one GC rider loses a lot of time today. You see Fisher Black, she's coming to this roundabout on her teammate's wheel, and I'm not sure if she overlaps wheels, she gets a bump, but she just goes straight and crashes Bradbury, and Bradbury can't get out of the way. And Bradbury is never able to come back. I'm not sure if they had left enough teammates to bring her back, if there was Dygert, but there's a big descent coming up. That was the last roundabout. They were all fighting to be in front into the uphill. There's a last uphill section before this descent, and then there's more crashes on the descent. I think Royackers is caught up, Visma Femke de Vries goes down, and so that's Royackers losing time, Bradbury losing big time. Paternoster tries to attack or accelerate on the descent. It's sort of wet, dry, very slippery roads. Reusser is a little bit calmer and keeps things composed with Lippert on her wheel, and then there's a flat section for 7Ks to go, but with a lot of road furniture. That's why Demi's on the front. Kasia Nuviadoma, she goes for it and attacks into this last corner, which was a little bit risky, a little bit strange, with Bradbury behind, and she's closed down by Reusser and Vollering. So there weren't any more attacks from the GC riders. They realize it's an effort in futility. Norsgaard's there, but the GC leader, Ellen van Dijk, we only realize now, she's in a group about 30, 40 seconds behind the red jersey, and the lead-outs begin in earnest with about 4Ks to go, and that group never comes back. You got Pauline Ferrand-Prévot on the front, obviously Visma's GC rider, then Imogen Wolf on her wheel. She was a junior last year, so she's a first-year U23. This is the group of Ellen van Dijk behind. They never come back in time. I think you just see the red jersey at the front of this group near the Cofidis riders, so yeah, a brutal day for some of the GC contenders. Van Dijk would have liked to have kept the jersey as well. But we've got a left-hand corner after all these roundabouts in the wet where there's nearly crashes again. There's a left-hand corner with like 180 meters to go, and then it's a punch uphill. So really slow corner in the wet, then a direct punch uphill. Perfect for Vos. I'm not sure if Volston was there. Demi nearly crashes, not really through any fault of her own. She pedals on the pedestrian crossing, but then she pedals just on the red paint, and the red paint seems to be more slippery, or the 30 kph sign, and it didn't want her to go more than 30 kph. She somehow holds it up, thankfully, the favourite for GC in this race. That would have been really a shame for the race if she had crashed there. Thankfully, she holds it up. Of course, any crashes now in a sprint stage, they keep their time. Wolf takes a good line here. Henderson, she's on a gap to Vos, Whelan. You see the lead out from Wolf and Ferron Prevot. They just put Vos in the armchair ride, whilst Borghese, Kerbal, Henderson, they're having to sprint in the wind while Vos is doing it a bit smoother. Gerritsen brings up Paternoster on the right-hand side with the big fight for this left-hand corner begins. Ferguson comes on the inside for Movistar. She's won pro sprint straight away when she was still a junior last year. She's a big contender for this sort of stage, and you see that Vos wants to be wheel number one through that corner. It's so late that you actually should begin your sprint before the corner, and she jumps here around Gerritsen and then can choose her own line. She actually bumps into her own lead out, Wolf, and then the two of them going through the corner, one Vos going quicker around the outside, Wolf going slower on the inside, blocks Paternoster, and Ferguson actually, she kind of got squeezed between, and then she crashes on the wet paint, again with the pedestrian crossing in that corner. Kind of crazy stage design. Vos wins with the uphill sprint. Very, very messy sprint, particularly in the wet. I mean, even in the dry, this would have been sketchy. Like the amount of paint, road furniture, then that turn there. I know it was an uphill sprint, and I think hopefully Ferguson's okay, but wow. Very, very messy sprint, and Vos does the business, wins by a million bike lengths, and she's a winner who takes her first win of the season, but is like as excited as if it was her first win of her career, which is really cool to see. Vos wins ahead of Paternoster, who takes the red jersey, Borghese, Henderson, Trinker-Colonel, Wollaston, Koch, Nuviadoma, Kerbal, Tomasi. Here's what Vos had to say after the race.
After what happened yesterday, we wanted to take that energy into today, and we just all committed to it, and I'm very happy I could finish it off.
We stayed a bit quiet, and then started to rain, and we saw all the riders were very careful in all the turns and in the downhill. How did you leave it within the bunch?
Yeah, well, the most important was indeed to stay in front and to stay safe, and of course you want all the riders to be safe, but the only thing you can do is to be careful and try to stay out of trouble. And that's also where the whole team I have to be very thankful for, because they kept me out of trouble.
Could you describe or take us through the last kilometers, because there were some corners and we saw it was quite slippery. How do you live within the sprint?
Yeah, it was slippery indeed, but it was Pauline Ferrand-Prévot and Imogen Wolf still with me, and it was amazing just to follow their wheels and to be able to get through the last corner in front due to their work.
In terms of GC, I'm not sure all of this is correct, but Paternoster certainly does go into the red jersey a couple of seconds ahead of the Trek girls who finished on the same time. Anna Henderson, maybe she can take it back if she takes some bonies tomorrow. We have another sprint stage in theory tomorrow. They're starting to head north away from the city. Hopefully they get better weather, and hopefully all the GC contenders that crashed today are okay. Until that recap, ciao ciao.